The following video was recorded by a woman working the night shift at what appears to be a school, alone, after hours, in the kind of building that feels completely different once the students and staff are gone. It starts small. She's filming a hallway door near where she left her cleaning cart, and the automatic door begins opening and closing on its own, slowly and repeatedly, with her reflection clearly visible in the glass, still nowhere near the sensor.
I just walked out here and put my car back, and this door's being weird. It was opening and closing by itself. And there it goes again. I don't know why the door is doing this. It shouldn't be doing this. You can shut the door now and stop messing. Oh my god.
Some viewers suggested a faulty motion sensor, electrical interference, or a sensor detecting movement outside the camera's field of view. Others saw something far more unsettling. In paranormal investigations, automatic doors are sometimes cited in reports where witnesses claim unseen presences repeatedly trigger motion sensors despite no visible person being present. Because these systems are designed to react to movement, some investigators speculate that if an unexplained entity could interact with the physical environment, motion sensors would be among the easiest devices for it to affect, although there is no scientific evidence supporting that claim. Whether it was nothing more than a malfunction, or whether something was walking those empty school hallways long after everyone had gone home, you decide. But before you do, watch this.
Stay over there by the door. I can... That's where the switch is, right there. Trying to vacuum. What's going on? They already replaced the sensor. Let's see if it goes off again. Fixed sink. These are only supposed to go off if somebody puts their hand there.
Each moment on its own has an explanation, both at all of it happening to the same woman, on the same shift, across multiple locations in the same building. That starts to feel like something else. Watch.
The switch is way over there by the door. Now you want to stop because I'm recording. So I guess there'll be no mean sweeping today. I got this set up in the gym today, so what the There's nobody in here. There's nobody in here. This is locked too. Nobody. Make sure this is stamped. That's scary. All right, well, I'm good. I'm getting out of here. I ain't got to mop and sweep anyway.
Two separate sets of 3 loud, deliberate knocks coming from behind a locked door in an empty gym. 3 knocks, then a pause, then 3 more, the kind of pattern that doesn't feel accidental. She checks both doors, both locked, nobody inside. She closes up the storage room and walks away, and then a final bang echoes through the gym, hard enough to make her flinch and head straight for the exit. Some believe that repeated knocking in threes carries specific spiritual significance across a number of traditions, often interpreted as a deliberate attempt at communication, in darker interpretations, a direct mockery of something sacred. Others think the pattern suggests an intelligent presence, something aware enough to respond to being noticed. Skeptics would point to an old building settling, pipes contracting in the cold, motion-triggered systems on the fritz, but she already replaced one of the sensors. So what exactly was knocking back? Now in this next clip, a man who goes by Sebrum is inside what he describes as a jail cell, part of what appears to be an old asylum, after his chat kept urging him to go back inside. According to him, he'd already been in there multiple times, but the people watching his stream kept insisting something had happened while he was away. He had a motion detector set up earlier, though he admits he turned it off to redirect attention elsewhere in the building. On this particular night, he returns to the cell with a light source, navigating a dark, narrow space cluttered with objects, including what looks like a motorcycle fender propped against a wall. And then there's something else in that space. A small white door in the background, locked according to him. Watch.
Okay, y'all see Pixie over there? All right, how we feeling? We good? Yes? We good? Yes? We good? Yes? All right, cool. I'm out.
The door slides open and slams shut in under a second, with no one near it and no sound recorded at all. If you focus on the speed of it, it doesn't move the way a door settles or drifts. It snaps. Skeptics point to the possibility of a wire pull or someone just off camera, and the complete silence during the event makes it harder to rule that out. But Sebrum insists he had no idea it happened until his chat told him afterward. What opened that door? Now in this next clip, a group of women are keeping a close watch on a baby monitor late at night, something they'd apparently been doing on purpose, as if they already suspected something wasn't quite right. One of them is holding her phone up to the parent unit, recording the screen, while another waits nearby. The monitor shows a bedroom in that cold, blue-white night vision that makes everything feel a little more unsettling than it probably should. There's a sleeping figure under the covers on the far side of the bed, completely still. Watch.
What's gonna happen? Oh my god, I see it. Oh shit! Go, 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 go.
On the near side of that same bed, directly behind the rail, the white covers slowly begin to rise, forming a distinct rounded shape, like a person is underneath. There's already someone asleep on the other side. That's what makes it so hard to dismiss. The women rush straight into the room and check under the bed immediately, but there's nothing there. No person hiding, no explanation. Some viewers think it could be a ghost or residual presence tied to whoever sleeps in that room, the kind of energy that mimics the living without realizing it's being watched. Others aren't sure what to call it at all, but whatever it was already gone by the time they got there. So what was sitting up in that bed? In this next clip, a couple was camping near a dense tree line at dusk when they started hearing something they couldn't explain, whispers drifting through the campsite with no one else around. His girlfriend claimed she saw a woman moving through the woods, so he pointed the camera toward the tree line to see if anything was out there. Listen closely. What you hear against that quiet, ambient wind is difficult to dismiss. A soft female voice whispering, "Hey," followed by a longer, murmured phrase that sounds deliberate, not random. Also, if you look closely, she might have really seen something, but the audio is where this one gets unsettling. Some believe these are EVP recordings, electronic voice phenomena, voices captured on recording equipment that weren't audible in the moment. Others think the woods themselves were responding. Either way, his girlfriend's instinct to look toward those trees might have been right all along. This next clip was recorded at night by a man who'd just gotten home from a long day and couldn't shake the feeling that something was off inside his house. According to him, he'd been hearing an unfamiliar sound, something he couldn't place, and when he came back, it was still there. You can hear it in his voice as he films the floor, breathing hard, muttering that either someone was messing with him or there was actually someone down there. That's when he notices the trapdoor. He lifts it open, leans toward the opening, and calls down into the pitch black. Watch.
I swear to Christ, that sound was just here. I just got back from set. I've been hearing that sound. Hello?
Without warning, something suddenly launches up from the darkness toward him. Some viewers believe the answer is straightforward: an animal startled by the light, a loose object tumbling up the steps, or even another person hiding below. Others weren't so quick to dismiss it. In paranormal lore, basements, crawl spaces, and hidden rooms are often described as liminal spaces, areas separated from the normal living space of a home, where many alleged hauntings are said to begin. Investigators sometimes report that witnesses hear unexplained knocking, footsteps, or voices coming from beneath the house before experiencing more direct encounters. While these claims remain unverified, stories involving trapdoors and underground spaces have appeared in ghost folklore for centuries. This next clip was recorded by a man who had just stepped out for coffee, something completely routine, and came home to a house that didn't look the way he left it. The door in the hallway was ajar when it was closed before he left. Then he walks into the kitchen and finds both upper cabinet doors standing wide open. He starts filming and walking through each room, narrating what he's seeing, trying to make sense of it. Maybe a draft, maybe he was mistaken, maybe there's a simple explanation. But the house is quiet. It's the middle of the day, and nothing he finds gives him a reason to feel better about it. If anything, each discovery just adds to it. He moves toward a hallway at the far end of the house and starts walking slowly toward a door at the end. Watch.
All right, so just got back from having coffee with a friend. When I left, that door was closed 100%, so everything else looks somewhat the same. Now it's being quiet. Okay. Well, those were closed when I left too. Dude.
After the footage was shared, viewers found themselves split between two very different explanations. The first, and arguably the more practical one, was the possibility of a squatter. Hidden occupants have been discovered living inside attics, basements, crawl spaces, and even unused rooms in homes without the owners realizing it. In rare but well-documented cases, people have returned home to find doors left open, food missing, or belongings moved because someone else had secretly been using the property. The second theory was paranormal. Many viewers believed the sequence of unexplained open doors and cabinets resembled the early stages of what paranormal investigators describe as intelligent haunting activity, where an alleged presence manipulates doors, cupboards, and other everyday objects, seemingly to make its presence known without ever revealing itself directly. Of course, neither explanation can be confirmed from the footage alone. But if you walked into your home, found doors open that you knew you'd closed, and couldn't tell whether someone was hiding inside, or whether no one had been there at all, which possibility would scare you more? This next clip is a short one, and on the surface it looks like nothing more than a home video, a toddler, a messy living room, The blue glow of a television casting shadows across the walls late at night. A woman's voice, barely audible, says something soft to the boy as he stands on his blanket in the middle of the floor. He's holding a small dark object, just playing, but then he turns and looks up toward the corner of the room near the doorway, not at a noise, not at a toy. Watch. Many parents who've watched this point to that moment, the way a toddler's gaze locks onto something specific that isn't there, something you can't see. Young children, according to some belief systems, haven't yet learned to filter out what adults have long stopped noticing. This next footage dates back to 2000, recorded inside Bonaventure Cemetery, Savannah's oldest burial ground, containing over 9,000 graves, including mass burial sites for victims of the yellow fever outbreaks that once devastated the city. Jesse, who was visiting from Ohio with his family, decided to explore the cemetery on the last day of the year. Like most visitors, he was simply filming the historic tombstones, the moss-covered trees, and the quiet landscape using his handheld camera. Nothing unusual, just documenting the moment. But while recording, he captured something. Watch this. If you look closely, something that looks like a small child can be seen running, then suddenly leaps, then lands on the branches of a tree, before disappearing. What makes this even more unsettling is the location itself. This cemetery has stood there for nearly 2 centuries, and mass graves mean many who were buried there never had individual markers. Some believe Jesse may have captured what looks like the spirit of a child, possibly one of the many young victims buried there, still lingering in the place where their life ended. Others argue it could have been a living child playing nearby, whose movements only appeared unnatural due to the low frame rate and limited quality of handheld cameras back in 2008. But I'll leave you to be the judge. In the following video, 2 men are out in Port Glasgow one night, exploring the grounds around what used to be the Clune Park estate, a sprawling complex of abandoned brick tenements that locals have long called Scotland's Chernobyl, a place frozen in time and almost entirely empty. They're moving through the dark with a smartphone flashlight, passing a public sculpture near the old high school, when one of them aims the beam up at the facade of a derelict multi-story block. He asks the other if he saw movement up there. The other says no. Watch.
Just watch this.
Isn't it? Future in hand.
430 abandoned flats, and there is something in the window.
Open. Yo. You see movement then? Move the light. Yo. Yo. The fuck is that?
When the flashlight swings back on, a pale humanoid face with dark, hollowed-out eyes is peering out from behind a tattered curtain in a second-floor window, visible for barely a second, before the light cuts out and the camera drops away fast. The man filming shouts out loud, the footage shaking violently as he backs off. If you look at the window carefully, you'll notice the foot appears only when the light hits it, passive, like something that was already standing there, waiting. Skeptics point to squatters, since buildings like these, mostly sealed but never fully secured, attract people with nowhere else to go. But others aren't so sure. A face that pale, that still, in a building that should be completely empty, that's hard to explain away. In this next clip, a woman is reviewing security footage from what appears to be a retail store, specifically an aisle marked on the system, lined with shelves and a cluster of large cardboard boxes stacked near the center. The timestamp on the footage reads around 7:30 in the morning, well before the kind of chaos that fills a store later in the day. She's playing back the recording on a monitor, and something in the footage has clearly stopped her. She rewinds it, replays it, and keeps asking the same question. Watch.
All right, watch closely. Watch. See it? All right, now no, it's not. All right, now. I'll rewind it. I'm going to do it again. See it?
A translucent, grayish humanoid figure with a visible head and shoulder shape moves swiftly from right to left across the aisle, passing through the open space in under a second before vanishing entirely. She plays it twice so you can see it both times. Some viewers think it's a reflection or a digital artifact from the camera compression. Others believe it's exactly what it looks like, a figure that doesn't belong there. What do you think is moving through that aisle at 7:30 in the morning? The following video was captured by a home security camera positioned high in a kitchen, shooting in infrared night vision, the kind of footage that only gets reviewed when something already feels wrong. The kitchen is quiet, the house is dark, but somewhere between the silence and the ambient hum of the camera, something else is caught on the audio. Listen closely. It's faint, a low, raspy, two-syllable whisper with no visible source anywhere in the frame. Some listeners hear it as a name, something like Jesse or Ashley, though the distortion makes it impossible to confirm. This type of capture is what paranormal researchers call an EVP, or electronic voice phenomenon, the idea that disembodied voices or sounds from an unknown source can sometimes be recorded on audio equipment even when nothing is audible to the human ear at the time. Another day, around 3 a.m. this happened. Watch. A loud crashing sound erupts from the basement, heavy, metallic, echoing, and then, just a few seconds later, a low, guttural whisper cuts through the static. The words are hard to make out, but many listeners hear either "get out" or "help me," both of which carry very different implications. One suggests something territorial, something that doesn't want her there. The other raises a darker possibility entirely. 2 separate nights, the same kitchen, the same camera, and each time, a voice that has no business being there. You decide what that means. The following video was captured on November 7th by a home security camera mounted in the corner of a living room. A room that, at least on this particular night, wasn't as empty as it should have been. The camera's infrared night vision renders everything in black and white, and for the first few seconds, the room looks completely normal. A sectional sofa, a shelving unit, the hard tiled floor. But if you look closely at the right side of the frame, near the corner between the wall and the shelving unit, something is already there. Watch.
There was a record that I played out on that absolutely blew away.
A tall, thin, semi-transparent shadow figure stands completely still in that corner, and then, without warning, a picture frame crashes violently off camera, and the figure simply fades and disappears. Shadow people, as they're often described in paranormal circles, are typically jet-black humanoid silhouettes with no discernible features. But what makes this one harder to dismiss is the timing. It didn't just vanish on its own. Something fell, and then it was gone. Whether the crash startled it, triggered it, or was caused by it entirely, that question doesn't have a clean answer. This next video was recorded on a home security camera set up inside a child's bedroom at night. One of those moments parents set these cameras up for, hoping they'll never actually need the footage. The room belongs to a little boy named Connor, and from the very start of the recording, something is clearly wrong. He's audibly distressed, crying, screaming, calling out for his mom, and the intensity of it just keeps building. Watch. Connor climbs to the top rail of his crib, and then in one violent, sudden motion, his legs swing up and his body pitches headfirst over the side. He hits the floor hard. That moment is deeply unsettling, because if you watch closely, the movement doesn't look like a child simply losing his balance. It looks abrupt, almost forceful, like something flipped him. Many parents who've seen this footage immediately point out the frantic screaming beforehand, wondering what had him so terrified before any of this happened. Others believe a small child in that state of panic could absolutely fall that way on his own, but that level of distress, calling for his mom, completely inconsolable, right before the fall, is the part that's hard to set aside. The following video was recorded inside an abandoned commercial kitchen, somewhere in Malaysia, by a man who entered alone at night armed with nothing but a flashlight and what sounds like a great deal of courage, or perhaps not enough of it. He speaks in Malay as he moves through the doorway, sweeping his light across overturned stools, scattered cutlery, and the kind of debris that collects in a space that's been left to rot for a long time. He says, quietly, that he can hear something. The kitchen is cold, dark, completely still. And then he notices the wok on the stove. Watch.
Aku dengar suara kau. Bunyi masak. Kau lagi bergerak. Astagfirullahaladzim, astagfirullahaladzim. Astagfirullahaladzim, astagfirullahaladzim, astagfirullah. Astagfirullahaladzim, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Assalamualaikum, waalaikumsalam. Ya khadam-khadam, ya khadam murah, ya khadam mujasad, ya rijalul gaib. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Salamun ala Sulaiman fil alamin. قال أيها الملأ أيكم يأتيني أبشار قبله من الإفر من الجنة والناس الله أكبر. Dengar suara, dengar suara ni, dengar suara, dengar suara. untuk apa. Aku nak keluar untuk apa? Mana kau? Bunyi air kan? Bunyi air.
What happens over the next 2 minutes is one of the most relentlessly violent pieces of paranormal footage you'll come across. Steam begins rising from the wok on a stove that hasn't been used in what looks like years. Then the banging starts, fast, loud, metallic, the sound of heavy objects being hurled by something with no visible form. A large metal shelving unit crashes to the floor. He shouts, "Allahu Akbar," and starts reciting Islamic prayers, his voice rising over the chaos, and the chaos doesn't stop. When he cautiously steps back inside after a brief pause, a deep, guttural, non-human growl is clearly audible. Not a creak, not an echo, but something that sounds deliberate. Then a second shelf shakes violently. Then the sound of rushing water begins from somewhere with no visible source. In Islamic tradition, the entity he's calling out to may well be a jinn, a class of beings created from smokeless fire, capable of inhabiting abandoned spaces and interacting with the physical world in aggressive, destructive ways. What he actually says is more specific. He addresses the Qadam and invokes Rejalul Ghaib, the men of the unseen, spiritual intermediaries in certain Sufi and folk Islamic traditions believed to govern hidden forces. That's not a generic prayer. That's someone who knows exactly what kind of presence they're dealing with and is trying to negotiate with it. Skeptics would argue a derelict building can produce strange sounds on its own, settling metal, gas pockets, unstable shelving. But steam rising from a cold wok with no heat source and a growl that Lowe recorded that cleanly are harder to explain away. If you watch the moment the shelf shakes the second time, there's nothing near it, nothing falling from above, no chain reaction from the earlier crash. Whatever was in that kitchen wasn't done yet, so what exactly did he walk in on? The following video was recorded inside a home late at night by a woman with blonde hair, and what makes this one particularly unsettling isn't what the camera caught, but what it didn't. She and her husband had both just heard a voice in the kitchen, a child's voice. Specifically, it sounded like their son Gannon, but Gannon was asleep in the same room. Both of them heard it. Both of them agreed on what it sounded like. And then she started filming, trying to pull up her home security system to show what the cameras had caught in that exact window.
That sounded like Brantley, didn't it?
It did. I swear to God that was Brantley.
I told you I wasn't hearing things when I hear the kids talking to me.
Where's mine? They're sleeping.
Oh my.
You just gotta ignore it and pretend it's not there.
That was like right here too.
It sounded like it was like...
Yes, I heard it and I was like, was that one of the kids? He done left me out here by myself and I gotta go outside and get my bonnet because I done left it out there. Something just said something to us in the kitchen. And my husband was like, what? I'm gonna pull my security camera footage up. Listen. Hold place. Oh. Now the front door's offline. Damn. I'm trying to pull this up for y'all, but my husband. And the living room's offline? Hell no. real time. No video. Those are the only two where it caught it. Oop. Sorry, I'm not trying to show my kids on camera. Damn. This is ridiculous. Anyway, y'all get the idea. I don't want to show my kids. No video. 10:23. 10:25. It's 10:35. And then before that, that's where Brantley was asking me.
What she finds when she opens the app is that multiple cameras, the front door, the driveway, the living room, have all gone offline. The one camera that did register motion in the kitchen at 10:22 p.m., right when the voice was heard, shows nothing but a no video error. The clips immediately before and after that window play just fine. Normal family footage. Her husband walking through the kitchen. Her son Brantley asking what she gasped at. But that 1 minute, the exact minute, is just gone. She's visibly exhausted going through it, frustrated in the way you get when you've been trying to prove something for a long time and the evidence keeps disappearing on you. She even mentions she's gone through 3 different camera systems, including ones hardwired directly into the wall with an Ethernet connection, and they all seem to fail at the same kind of moment. That pattern is what gets people. A single technical glitch is easy to dismiss. A recurring failure that lines up specifically with paranormal incidents, that's much harder to wave away. Some who follow cases like this believe that certain presences actively interfere with recording equipment, that the electromagnetic disruption associated with a manifestation is enough to knock wireless signals offline or corrupt video data. Others point to the specific nature of what was heard. A child's voice can be heard from a room where the child was sleeping, and the fact that both she and her husband heard it independently, in real time, makes it harder to reduce to imagination. But the footage of the actual moment doesn't exist. What you're left with is 2 witnesses, 1 missing minute, and a camera system that chose that exact window to go dark. The following video was recorded by a woman living on a river at night, and what she captured wasn't something she could see. It was something she could only hear. Listen closely.
Okay, so as you can see, it's pitch black out there, right? I live on a river, and there's no lights. So if there's a room there, but like, it's pitch black. So just listen for a moment, okay? And tell me that you would not be by this.
Out of that total darkness, a wailing sound rises from somewhere along the river, high-pitched, drawn out, fluctuating in pitch, like it can't decide what it wants to be. It doesn't sound quite like an animal, and it doesn't sound quite human either. She whispers, "out of the dark," while it's still going, like she can't fully process what she's hearing. Some people in the comments immediately pointed to a fox or a fisher cat, both known for producing screams that are genuinely unsettling at night. But others aren't convinced. Something about the layered, almost melodic quality of that wail feels harder to dismiss. quick thing before we continue. All of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. In this next clip, a man is working a late shift alone in what looks like a storage room or workshop. Concrete floors, shelving units, items draped in black plastic tarps. The kind of place that feels uncomfortable even when the lights are on. Trying to pass the time, he's sitting alone watching cartoons on his phone, clearly bored and counting down the hours until his shift ends. Then everything changes. Watch.
This job.
Picture just dropped.
Yellow next. Go! Wow! What the hell?
We give that much love, boy. What's all the hubbub?
Oh, thank you, Dad.
Ah! Ow.
If you look closely, you'll see a hand move, but before even processing what he saw, a loud scream erupts from somewhere inside the building, sending him running. For many viewers, the scream was terrifying, but for those familiar with his story, it wasn't the most disturbing part, because this wasn't the first strange thing he'd encountered. Days earlier, he had made a decision. He wanted to get rid of a statue he believed was connected to the bizarre events he'd been experiencing. According to him, activity around the property had become so unsettling that he began wondering whether the object itself was somehow responsible. Hoping to finally put an end to it, he went looking for the statue. What happened instead only made things worse. Watch. As he approaches the location, he doesn't immediately see the statue. What catches his attention first is something that looks disturbingly human. a hand. Only afterward does the statue finally come into view. That detail sparked intense discussion online, with many viewers urging him not to touch the object under any circumstances. Several referred to it as a totem. In folklore and spiritual traditions around the world, a totem is often understood as an object that serves as a focal point for spiritual energy. Depending on the belief system, a totem can act as a protective vessel, a symbolic representation of a spirit, or, in darker interpretations, a physical anchor through which an entity maintains a connection to a particular place. Of course, there is no way to verify any of that from the footage alone, but the timing is difficult to ignore. He decides to remove the statue. He sees what appears to be a human-like hand near it. Then, days later, the lights go out. A hand appears again in the darkness, and a scream echoes through the building. Whether it's a haunted object, a totem, or something else entirely, many viewers came away with the same advice. If the activity started around that statue, touching it might be the last thing he should do. The following video was recorded during a nighttime paranormal investigation, and what the team catches on their equipment in this first clip is the kind of moment that makes investigators stop mid-sentence. They're running a PSB7 spirit box, a device that sweeps rapidly through radio frequencies, producing a wash of static and fragmented broadcast noise, and a K2 EMF meter sits nearby, its colored lights already active. The spirit box has been scanning for a while, the familiar rhythmic static filling the room, when something cuts through it. Listen closely.
Fred.
Hello? I heard it. Hello.
Frederick. Is that you?
I think I heard you say hello, man. How are you doing?
Through the sweep of static and radio fragments, a female-sounding voice comes through, distinctly, almost conversationally, saying the name Fred. The man reacts immediately, asking if he heard a hello, and a woman off-camera quietly says, "Frederick," and asks, "Is that you?" That name didn't come from the broadcast band. Radio fragments don't articulate proper names in response to context, which is exactly why the spirit box community treats moments like this differently from background noise. Skeptics will argue that a sweeping scanner will eventually land on a syllable that sounds like anything you're listening for, a phenomenon called apophenia, where the brain imposes patterns on random sound, but that explanation sits uncomfortably with how cleanly the word arrived, and how quickly both investigators recognized the same name independently. Whatever came through that box, it knew exactly when to speak. Now this next clip comes from the same building, what appears to be a large, ornate venue with marble staircases and carpeted ballrooms, and instead of a spirit box, the evidence here takes a different form entirely. A man in a security uniform pulls out his phone to show the investigators what the building's own security cameras have already picked up. Watch.
We got busted.
I found out about Adele Langer and her 2 kids. And I found an article from this week.
There you go, right there. Oh, let me see this. Look.
That's a shadow.
Dude, what the heck?
That's
Oh my god.
such a good photo.
Whoa, that's like blending in with the fucking carpet, dude.
I caught a shadow on. Seriously.
Oh man.
Wow!
That's weird, dude.
That is so cool. Which room is this?
That's like
Is this like a
ballroom or something?
ballroom?
Dude.
I've been kind of here off.
Yeah, sorry,
We
dude.
found a hallway that we've never.
The phone screen shows 2 separate pieces of footage, one a still photo, one a video clip, both time-stamped in the early hours of the morning, one at 3:31 a.m. and one at 1:02 a.m. In the photo, a dark, semi-transparent humanoid shape sits or crouches on what looks like a row of covered chairs in a large, carpeted room. In the second piece of footage, a blurry, brownish figure stands in the middle of an empty ballroom. Both figures are vaguely human in shape, but clearly not solid. The camera operator's reaction says it all. "It's like blending in with the carpet, dude." Shadow figures captured on security feeds during the dead hours of the morning are among the harder categories of footage to dismiss outright, because the camera wasn't placed there by an investigator hoping to catch something. So what exactly is using that ballroom at 1 in the morning? The following video dates back to 2016, when a lady was 9 years old, spending time at home with her cousin, doing what most kids do, playing around, recording random moments, and not thinking too much about what might be happening in the background. Years later, after strange things in the house began to resurface, unexplained sounds, subtle movements, and that persistent feeling that something wasn't quite right, she decided to go back and review old footage, hoping they might have missed something back then. And that's when she found this. Watch closely.
Dude, what the heck, man? Who are you? Hello? What was that? Did you guys see that? Vines. Come on. Come here. Hello from the other side. Running outside. Walking really funny. At least I got that on camera. Bye.
First, an unusual light appears. It's brief, easy to miss, but clearly there. And then, something else. A figure. When she reviewed the clip again as an adult, she said the shape looked like a baby figure. Small, low to the ground, and oddly formed. But once the video was shared, people had very different interpretations. Some were convinced it didn't look like a child at all. They believed it looked like a demonic figure. Others made a different comparison entirely, saying it resembled Pennywise. For context, Pennywise is a fictional entity from It by Stephen King, often portrayed as a shape-shifting being that commonly appears as a clown to lure children, but is actually something far more sinister beneath the surface. It's known for taking forms that feel familiar, yet deeply unsettling. And that comparison only made the clip more disturbing for viewers, because if something in that video really did resemble a child, then it becomes harder to explain. Now in this next clip, a man with a dark beard and a black t-shirt explains that ever since his downstairs neighbor passed away, strange things have been happening in his apartment, things he couldn't ignore anymore. Commenters apparently urged him to try sage, so at night, he decides to do a full cleansing ritual on his own, holding 2 different sage sticks, one wrapped in red twine, one in white, and placing a raw brown egg on the floor in the middle of the room, a practice rooted in certain spiritual traditions where the egg is believed to absorb negative energy from a space. He moves through the apartment, wafting thick smoke into every corner, speaking firmly to whatever might be in the room with him, telling it it's not welcome and that it needs to leave. Watch.
Told me to use the sage to bless the house, but first I'm gonna use what y'all said and put the egg in the middle of the room. The egg in the middle, okay. It keeps going out. Okay, it's good. Okay. If anything is here, you are not welcome. Is it going out? Oh, it's good. You're not welcome here. You have to leave. You're not welcome. I really didn't want to light. You're not welcome here. You have to leave. There we go. Don't show no fears. You're not welcome here. Not welcome. In the corners. I think it's moving. Not welcome here. You have to leave, find your way out. Okay, I think that's enough. I think I just get into spirit mud. Okay, well, we're gonna check the egg. Check this egg. Hopefully I have a bad spirit in here. Fucking something. I'm gonna crack it into this bowl. See what happens. And
while he's approaching a closed door in the hallway, a small object that had been resting on top of the door frame suddenly falls with a sharp clatter, and he immediately says, "I think it's moving." That alone is unnerving, but what happens when he cracks the egg at the end is something else entirely. The brown egg he'd left on the floor comes apart over a glass measuring cup filled with water, and instead of a normal yolk, a thick, black, tar-like liquid pours out, turning the water dark and murky almost instantly. If you're familiar with limpias, a traditional cleansing practice common in Latin American folk spiritualism, the egg is believed to pull negativity and dark energy into itself, and a rotten or discolored result is seen as confirmation that something malevolent was present. Skeptics would argue the egg was simply spoiled before the ritual ever started. But that falling object mid-ceremony is harder to explain away. So what do you think was actually in that apartment? Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. This next clip was recorded by a woman who was spending the night parked at a rest stop, a deserted stretch of road. No cell service, just a couple of semis and a van nearby, and her, alone in her car, with a camera pointed out the window at the picnic shelters across the lot. She notices something under the leftmost shelter, almost immediately. Watch.
What the fuck am I looking at, you guys? Look in the center of the video. This white cloud keeps going back and forth. Watch. I'm at a rest stop in a deserted area with no cell service. There's 4 other vehicles here with me. Well, 3 other vehicles. There's 2 semis and a van and me. Watch the center of my screen. See that big cloud thing? Look at that. What the is that? It keeps going back and forth like it's walking back and forth. What the and there's nothing. There's no vehicles. There's no vehicles going by. It's not a light reflection. Watch. Shh. Rosie, be quiet. I mean, we have to be quiet so we can see better, right? Stop.
A semi-translucent, grayish-white mass hovers under that covered picnic area, drifting slowly from one side to the other and back again in what she herself describes as a pacing motion, back and forth, contained entirely within the structure. She rules out light reflection on camera, pointing out there are no vehicles passing by. If you watch the movement closely, it isn't drifting the way fog or exhaust would. It's rhythmic, deliberate, almost like something trapped in a loop it can't break out of. Some viewers think it resembles what's sometimes called a residual haunting, where energy from a past moment replays itself endlessly in the same spot. Others aren't sure it's residual at all. Something that paces feels aware. She's sitting alone in the dark with no way to call for help, watching it move. What would you do? The following video was filmed from outside, number 43. A weathered, teal-sided place with peeling paint and darkened windows. During the day, moving past it slowly, with what looks like a phone pointed up at the upper floor. Nothing obvious at first, just a tired-looking house under overcast light. Watch.
Yeah. Y'all hear that shit? Okay. Listen. So the guy that lived here moved, right? He left and he said that he was going to live in his car because his wife died or something like that. I don't know, some weird shit, right? And I have not seen this guy since. It's been like, I don't know, a year and a half. These two windows stay open during the blizzard that just went by. Them shits were open. Rain, sleet, shine. I kid you not, the window is always open. I have not seen anybody come in or out of this in like a year and a half, 2 years. Listen, every like 2-3 months, you'll randomly hear some fucking screaming coming from this house, yo. Listen, it's gonna happen again. Watch. It's gonna happen again. Not because I'm f***ing. Watch. You hear it? It's gonna happen again. Somebody's about to walk by. I don't want to get them on the camera.
In the top right window on the upper floor, a dark, head and shoulders silhouette appears for barely a second. No features, no movement, just a shape that fills the glass and then disappears. It happens more than once. Some viewers think it's a person standing inside, which would be the simplest explanation, except the shape doesn't behave the way a person passing a window normally does. It doesn't drift or move through the frame, it materializes and vanishes. Others think it's something that doesn't want to be seen clearly, only noticed. That distinction matters, and the fact that whoever filmed this kept the camera on that window says they thought so too. The following videos both deal with something specific and deeply unsettling, an entity that doesn't just move through a home, but borrows the identity of the person living there. In the first clip, a woman had been recording strange activity in her house for some time, describing it as a melting pot of paranormal things happening to her on a regular basis. One morning, while the house was quiet, she set her phone down near a closed interior door, a door she was nowhere near, and captured something on audio that stopped her cold. Watch.
Hey. Hey. Hey.
I think that is one of the creepiest things that I have ever caught on camera and that I have ever experienced in my life. That sounds almost identical to my voice. Like, I thought it was 100%, and then I listened back to that recording and I was like, something's off. Which is the way it goes with these things, it's always almost correct. I was careful to not respond to it, and after I took that video, I walked away and came back later. But yeah, I guess it's using my voice on me now, which is weird. If this is even the same thing, who knows? We have a melting pot of paranormal things happening in this house and to me at all times. But yeah, that was creepy. I'm so glad that I started recording because no one would believe me without that. Has anyone else ever heard their own voice? That's so weird. Like, I've heard other voices, but my own.
From behind that closed door, a disembodied female voice says, "Hey," 3 times, calm, clear, slightly echoed, as if coming from a hallway just on the other side. And according to her, it sounds almost identical to her own voice. She says she was careful not to respond to it, and you can hear in her retelling exactly how unsettled she is. What makes this harder to dismiss is the detail she added afterward. Her husband told her he'd heard the exact same thing coming from that same door the night before, and had simply ignored it. Both of them, separately, hearing what sounds like her voice calling out from a place she wasn't standing. In paranormal research and folklore alike, this falls into a category often described as mimicry, an entity that reproduces the voice, appearance, or behavior of someone familiar, typically someone who lives in the space. Some believe mimics do this to provoke a response, to get the target to answer back, or let their guard down. Others think it's something older and stranger, an intelligence that absorbs identity rather than simply copying it. The second clip pushes that idea even further. This time, a man was moving through his home at night when he turned a corner and panned his camera into an adjacent room. Watch.
Babe? Yeah? What's up? Are you upstairs?
Standing completely still in the corner of the room, facing away from him, is a figure with long dark hair and a dark, oversized shirt, a figure that looks exactly like his wife. He whispers her name. She answers, from a completely different floor of the house. The two of them confirm out loud, in real time, that she isn't in that room, but the figure stands there anyway. The slowed down replay makes it clearer. A distinct silhouette, motionless, positioned in the corner with its back to the camera. A doppelganger, in the original folkloric sense, is not just a look-alike. Across many European traditions, seeing a perfect double of a living person is considered a deeply ominous sign, sometimes a warning, sometimes something far more predatory attempting to pass as someone trusted. Skeptics will argue staging, and that's a fair point to raise. But the calm, muffled confirmation of the wife's voice from upstairs is the detail that's difficult to script away. 2 clips, 2 homes, 1 pattern, and neither person has figured out how to make it stop. Whatever these things are, they seem to understand exactly who they're imitating, and that alone is what makes this so hard to shake. Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. Now, in this next clip, someone has a wardrobe in their home that they keep tied shut with a lanyard, and at night, they decided to film what's inside it. That detail alone should give you pause. The wardrobe itself is a plain 2-door wooden armoire, nothing obviously threatening from the outside. But the fact that whoever owns this felt the need to keep it fastened closed says something. There's no explanation offered, no context given. just a tattooed hand reaching into frame, untying the lanyard and pulling the door open. Watch.
So I'm sitting here watching a movie and my cabinet yanked. Like, you can still see it moving a little bit. Like the thing I have it tied shut with. And usually it's tighter than that. And see? Look, I told you. I told you something was yanking on it. And it's weird because it's been a long time since it messed with this cabinet. Hello? You want to do it again? Are you trying to get the doors open? Oh, I would take that as a yes. Hello? Is there a reason why? Did you move the doll? Yo. Nah, come on, man. And my phone just glitched out, yo, at the same time.
What's inside is a dense, carefully arranged collection of porcelain dolls, clown figurines, horror books, specifically the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series, a framed photograph of an unknown man, a red skull, a small collection of knives, and at the bottom, the box for a Ouija Junior board. The whole thing is completely silent, no reaction, no narration, just the slow, shaky pan across row after row of glassy, unblinking doll eyes staring back at the camera. Some viewers think collections like this are harmless curiosities. Others believe that objects, especially dolls and Ouija boards, stored together in an enclosed space, can act as a kind of anchor for whatever energy they've absorbed over time. What's keeping that door tied shut? This next clip was recorded inside someone's home during the day. Bright light coming through the window, a quiet living room. Nothing unusual on the surface. The man filming, a teenager or young adult, points his phone at a turned-off TV screen, using it as a mirror to show the room behind him. And that's when he notices it. Watch.
Is it? Am I tripping or is that? Someone sitting on my couch, but like, there's no one there. What? But like, there's no one there. There's no one on the couch. Oh my God, it's gone.
In the reflection, a dark, human-shaped figure is clearly sitting upright on the couch. Distinct head, shoulders, torso, but when he pans to the actual couch, it's completely empty. When he looks back at the reflection, the figure is gone. His voice says it all. What, then? Oh my God, it's gone. Some believe what he caught is a residual apparition, an energy imprint that only registers through indirect surfaces, which would explain why it appeared in the reflection, but not in the room itself. You decide what that figure was doing on that couch, and whether it knew it had been seen. This next clip comes from a man who says his circuit breakers have been tripping almost every night, and he's got nowhere else to go. Speaking in Spanish directly to the camera, he explains the situation while moving through his home in complete darkness, the only light coming from his flashlight. Tonight he's had enough. He grabs the camera and starts recording, telling whoever's watching that this is happening to him nearly every single night, that the breakers keep cutting out, and that he has no choice but to keep living there. His voice is already strained before he's even made it down the hallway. Watch.
Chicos, comienzo a grabar. Se me acaba de apagar las palancas otra vez. Se saltaron las jodidas palancas una noche más.
Me está sucediendo casi todas las noches, ¿vale? Y que tenga que seguir viviendo aquí porque no tengo dónde ir. ¿Qué cojones es eso, tío? No, 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 no. ¡No! 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 Voy a llamar.
As the flashlight beam sweeps right, a tall, thin, dark humanoid figure is standing completely still behind a sheer white curtain, and the moment he sees it, the footage goes chaotic. He screams, runs back down the hall, slams a door behind him, and then something on the other side of that door bangs back, hard. If you focus on those final seconds, you can hear him whimpering, breathing in pure panic, repeating that he's going to call someone, though it's unclear who he thinks can help at that hour. That figure behind the curtain is what's drawn the most attention. It's tall, unnervingly thin, and doesn't move even when the flashlight lands directly on it. Some viewers immediately connected it to what's often called a shadow person, a dark humanoid presence that many describe as featureless, motionless, and deeply aware of whoever's watching it. Others think this could be something more like a residual apparition, an energy imprinted into the space. But what nobody can explain is that bang on the door. What was standing on the other side of it? This next clip was recorded by Larissa's home security camera during the night. A static, wide-angle Xfinity camera mounted high in the corner of her living room, watching over 2 couches and a front door, while her brother slept alone inside. Larissa wasn't home, but she had access to the live feed and could speak directly into the room through the camera's 2-way audio. Her brother was deep asleep on the far couch. You can actually hear him snoring. When, at around the 1-second mark, the front door begins to swing inward, slowly and silently, all on its own. No wind, no one near it. The door drifts to about halfway open and stops there, and then the infrared light cuts out entirely for 3 seconds, plunging the room into near total darkness before flickering back on. Watch.
Yeah. What? What door? Ow. How's your door even open, Larissa? Seriously, man. How's your door even open? The door was locked. How's it even open? Fuck, man. No, I'm not doing nothing. Your cat's fucking here. I'm not doing this, dude. You should be asleep, man. You should be asleep. Huh? What? The cat's here, Larissa. Why is the door even fucking open? Why? No, I didn't. Because when I went to bed, the door was closed and locked.
Watching all of this in real time from somewhere else, starts calling through the camera, "Wake up, the door is open," and her brother stirs, confused and groggy, before walking over and closing it. What follows is the part that's hard to dismiss. He checks the door, repeats out loud that it was closed and locked when he went to bed. and when Larissa asks if he could have gotten up and opened it himself, he insists he didn't. The cat was in the room the whole time, which he points out himself. That rules out a pet nudging it. Some viewers think a pressure differential or a faulty latch could explain a slow door swing, but is that really what happened here? This next video was recorded inside what looks like someone's living room late at night. A cluttered, dimly lit space that already feels off before anything actually happens. Red string lights run down the side of a large wooden hutch, casting a warm glow over the mess on the floor, and right at the base of that hutch, a porcelain Pierrot clown doll in a gold and black outfit sits facing the hallway. Further down that hall, a pile of Raggedy Ann dolls is stacked on a chair, and through an open doorway at the far end, the back room is completely dark. The person filming holds the camera low and steady, trained on that hallway, and for nearly half a minute, nothing moves. Watch.
I don't like them footsteps, man. Especially not that bag moving. Sounded like my daughter's door. Like, nope, nope, nope. I was so focused on that noise at my daughter's door, I didn't even see that going shut. Footsteps are crazy, man. Yeah, come on, dude. I know y'all hear that whispering. Yeah, fuck footsteps, dude. Sorry for my language. I really just don't want this door shut on my face. Get back a little bit. I swear I keep hearing voices.
Some viewers immediately focused on the dolls, particularly the clown, and the collection of dolls. While there's no evidence that dolls themselves are paranormal, they've occupied a unique place in ghost stories for centuries. Because they resemble people without actually being alive, they've often been used in folklore as symbols of vessels, objects believed by some traditions to attract or temporarily house spiritual energy. Modern paranormal stories have only reinforced that reputation, especially when unusual activity is reported in homes where large antique doll collections are kept. Skeptics, however, point to the house itself. Older homes can carry sounds in strange ways, making footsteps from outside, neighboring rooms, or even expanding floorboards seem far closer than they really are. Whisper-like noises can also be created by distant conversations, electronics, or audio compression in low-light recordings, but you be the judge. The following video was recorded in the Haunted Hobart, a hotel in Hobart, Australia, with a reputation for paranormal activity. and in October of 2021, a paranormal investigation team set up security cameras inside the building overnight, hoping to capture something they couldn't explain. What they got was 3 separate incidents, all caught on silent CCTV footage, all happening in the early morning hours when the building was completely empty. The man reviewing the footage describes himself as a skeptical person, which makes his reaction to what the cameras caught all the more worth paying attention to. The first 2 events happen at 5:53 a.m. No staff, no guests, nobody in the building. Watch.
A movement right there, and then it proceeds to go like up the stairs, but it could be someone, just walking on the outside on our front porch right there, which is logically what it is, but it almost seems that the camera's kind of bending, and it bends the staircase a little bit, and then right after it goes to the top of the stairs, the hat seems to jump up before it falls off onto the ground and kind of rolls around. It's very weird. It's something I can't explain. Now, even weirder than that is the next day, that same woman came back in, and she was wearing the same exact clothes, and which is fine. I'm not judging. Maybe she had some, had a fun night. Maybe got lucky. She could have stayed somewhere close to here, or maybe she lives there. Who knows? But she comes. How wacky this is. Like, what is she doing? She seems to be walking weird. And then she's like peeping back in. Like, how long was she out on the porch just like staring in after the video cuts off? It's wild. It was a bizarre thing. I don't know what's up with that lady, but more importantly, I don't know what's up with that hat. That's the most evidence I've seen of something, and I saw it with my own eyes. It was right in front of me as I'm talking to this woman. It was very weird. I can't explain it. Make up your own mind on what you think, and let me know. Thanks for watching.
From 2 separate camera angles focused on the staircase near the entrance area, a black hat resting on the stair railing suddenly falls to the floor without anyone near it. Moments before the movement, the footage appears to capture something unusual near the front entrance, a faint distortion near the doorway, and what some viewers believe looks like movement crossing near the staircase itself. What makes the clip unsettling is not just the hat falling, but the sequence leading up to it. Investigators reviewing the footage pointed out that the distortion appears seconds before the object moves, almost as if something invisible passed through the area first. But according to the team, the strangest part came the next day. The woman connected to the hat incident reportedly returned to the hotel wearing the exact same clothes she had on the previous night. Staff members later claimed her behavior immediately stood out. For several minutes, she allegedly stood staring silently at a wall without reacting to anyone around her. She then began making bizarre comments to both employees and customers, including repeatedly talking about eating dog food before wandering through the building acting disoriented and suspicious. Paranormal researchers sometimes associate this kind of behavior with locations believed to have lingering spiritual activity, especially in places where repeated reports of apparitions, distortions, or object movement have already been documented. In many cases, investigators describe witnesses becoming unusually fixated, detached, or emotionally altered after experiencing unexplained events inside allegedly haunted environments. Whether the woman's behavior was connected to what the cameras captured remains unknown, but for many viewers, the combination of the distortion near the staircase, the unexplained movement of the hat, and the woman returning the following day behaving strangely has made this one of the more unsettling pieces of footage connected to haunted Hobart. The following clips were both captured by security cameras inside what appears to be the same home, both in the early morning hours, and both involve something that seems to be paying very close attention to a sleeping baby. In the first clip, the timestamp reads, just after 1:30 in the morning on March 25th of 2023. The footage is in grayscale night vision, filmed from a high corner angle looking down at a bedroom. A large bed sits in the center of the frame, and to its left, a baby's crib with a small form tucked inside. The room is still. The door to the left of the crib is slightly ajar, and for the first 20 seconds or so, nothing moves. Then it got worse. Watch. The bedroom door slowly begins to move on its own, opening wider before shifting back again, despite no one appearing anywhere near it. But according to the family, this wasn't the only incident. In a second clip, recorded on a separate night in April of 2019, at approximately 5:20 in the morning, another camera positioned directly above a bassinet captures something else entirely. Watch carefully. A teddy bear placed near the baby begins to move on its own. The motion is slow and deliberate, with the toy shifting position while nothing else in the frame appears disturbed. No hands enter the shot. No one approaches the crib. The room remains otherwise completely still. What unsettles many viewers is the pattern between the two recordings. In both clips, the activity centers around the child's sleeping area, almost as if whatever is present is drawn toward the crib itself. Some paranormal researchers point to old stories involving watchers, entities said to linger silently near sleeping children, often first noticed through subtle environmental changes like moving doors, shifting objects, or unexplained sounds during the early hours of the morning. Whether the two incidents are connected is impossible to know. But for many viewers, the idea that both cameras captured unexplained activity centered around the same baby is what makes the footage difficult to forget. In this next clip, a man claims he had finally decided to leave his house after days of experiencing what he described as unbearable activity inside the home. Hoping to get away from whatever had been disturbing him, he temporarily stayed somewhere else. But according to him, the activity didn't stop when he left. It followed him. Watch closely.
Algo está sonando en el cuarto. Creo que es la cama.
While filming inside the room, the man lifts the comforter slightly and points the camera toward the space beneath the bed. For a brief moment, a pair of pale, bare feet can be seen. Skeptics argue that someone could simply have been hiding underneath, a child, a friend, or someone playing a prank. But according to the man filming, when he looked again moments later, there was no one there. What unsettled many viewers even more was the folklore some people connected to the footage afterward. In parts of Latin American paranormal tradition, there are stories of childlike entities said to appear inside homes, often partially hidden beneath beds, in corners, or just outside direct view. Some compared the figure to legends surrounding La Niña de las Sombras, translated loosely as the Shadow Girl, a spirit described in online folklore as appearing silently inside domestic spaces before gradually becoming more aggressive over time. Others connected it to stories associated with La Llorona, where sightings involving children or crying voices are believed to signal a lingering supernatural presence inside the home. But according to the man, the encounter didn't end there. After several more days of disturbances, he decided to place a Bible near the exact spot where he claimed he first saw the feet. Then, during the early hours of the morning, he says he heard a voice telling him to look underneath it, so he started recording again. The same pale feet and lower legs appear beneath the object once more, but this time, the footage captures something else alongside it, a whisper repeating a single word in Spanish, ayuda, which means help. What makes the clip especially disturbing to some viewers is the implication behind the voice. In many paranormal traditions, entities that imitate children are often described as deceptive, using cries for help or weak voices to draw attention and lower fear before escalating activity further. We can only hope that's not the case here. The following clips were recorded inside what appears to be an abandoned commercial space, a former retail unit with unfinished walls, exposed ductwork, and the kind of industrial silence that makes every small sound feel wrong. The man filming had been exploring the location and decided to leave a static camera running in one of the darker rooms, stepping back to let it record on its own. For a stretch, nothing happens, just a faint ambient hum and the stillness of an empty space. Then it got worse. Watch. What you just heard wasn't a single knock or a creak. It was a violent, rapid barrage of metallic crashes and bangs, like heavy metal racks or poles being hurled against a wall in quick succession, all with no visible source anywhere in the frame. The room was empty. No one was there. When he goes back in with a flashlight to investigate, he finds the ceiling torn open near an access hatch, damaged in a way that raises more questions than it answers. Some believe what was captured is consistent with poltergeist-type activity, a term used to describe disturbances characterized not by visual apparitions, but by aggressive, physical, or auditory force, sounds and movement without an obvious agent. The second clip picks up in a similarly dark, confined space, this time a cluttered crawl space or attic area, accessed through a panel in a low ceiling. Watch. If you look closely, something like a human hand is still for a moment before suddenly moving. The reaction from viewers was immediate. Some believe there may have been a person trapped somewhere inside the space. Others think the movement looked unnatural, especially given how motionless the hand remained beforehand. What makes the clip disturbing is the uncertainty. The camera never stays long enough to reveal what the hand is attached to, or whether something was actually hiding deeper inside the crawl space the entire time. Now, in this next clip, a man with no named introduction documents something he found on the wall of his house. A faint, smudgy impression sitting high up on a plain tan wall, shaped unmistakably like a small hand. Watch.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can try and get it.
Okay, come over this way.
Okay, because it's like you can't see it, and then suddenly it's there. And there's no way there's an ant walking across the street. But there is no way anybody could physically get there.
Well, considering you look, and there's the stairs. This thing is 6 feet above the stairway.
Somebody would have to be, and there's a wall here.
Zoom in on me. I mean, look at this, okay? I'm standing on the stairs, for Christ's sakes.
And there's a hand.
You got 8-10 feet.
And you can only see it at certain angles. But there is no way anybody could have gotten that handprint there. It's physically impossible. And it wasn't there a couple days ago.
No, that is screwy. We gotta put that out and ask people about it. I mean, that's just, you can't do that.
I mean, I'm gonna...
And that is the left hand.
Yeah.
That's the left hand, so we're talking
somebody would have
on
had
the stairs, you're looking at...
That... Okay, there's no way.
You're like 15, 20 feet in the
Yeah, there is no way somebody... Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still sitting there. I can see it clear as day.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit.
You're talking 15, 20 feet in the air for somebody to put a handprint there.
And we had the place painted recently, but it is not, it was not there. I know it was not there.
So Cricket was sensing something today.
Well, it was weird because she kept freaking out all day.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this thing appears. Wait, come back. 'Cause I want to show. Okay, there's you trying to reach up to where it is. So even if you stood on the stairs, can you move up a little bit? So even if you stood on the stairs, because there's the handprint, you can't reach it. And you're over 6 feet. There's no way. Okay. And Amethyst has been acting really weird today too.
Well, I'm coming down to deal with her.
Okay.
That handprint sits too high for a child to reach casually, and the shape, a distinct palm with finger smudges fanning outward, isn't the kind of thing that just appears on a painted wall without explanation. Some believe impressions like this are residual contact, a spirit pressing through from the other side and leaving a physical trace behind. Others think it could point to a child's presence, which paranormal investigators often describe as among the most emotionally charged and difficult to dismiss. You can see why he kept coming back to it. Whatever left that mark apparently had somewhere to be, right at the top of those stairs. The following video was recorded at night by a man inside his home, a dimly lit bedroom where his family had already settled in. Children on the bed, the woman trying to keep things calm, when something none of them could place began filtering in from somewhere else in the house. The boy was frightened enough to beg his father not to leave. Watch.
Tranquilo, güey. Tranquilo, campeón. Tranquilo, ahorita voy a ver qué es.
No, papá, no salgas.
No hay nada, hijo, no hay nada. Ah, cabrón. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Qué quieres? Uy, te escucha ahí, se escucha.
When the man opens that bedroom door, A long, mournful wailing sound floods in from the darkness beyond, high-pitched, shifting in pitch like a lament, something caught between human and something else entirely. He shouts into the dark, asking what it wants, and the sound slowly fades as he moves downstairs to investigate, finding nothing. For viewers familiar with Latin American folklore, that sound carries an immediate and chilling association. La Llorona, the weeping woman, a figure rooted deeply in Mexican and broader Latin American tradition, described as the spirit of a grieving mother who wanders at night, wailing for her lost children. The legend has existed for centuries, and the sound in this clip, mournful, shifting, coming from no visible source, is exactly the kind of thing people in these communities have associated with her for generations. Others think it could be something more generalized, a distressed spirit, or a residual haunting attached to the building itself. Skeptics would point to the possibility of an animal, a stray cat or dog, outside producing a distressed cry that echoed strangely through the walls, though the family's reaction, the raw fear in the boy's voice, makes that explanation harder to sit with. Another night in the same home, a static night vision security camera captured this. Take a look. A white rocking chair in the corner of the room begins to move on its own, slowly at first, then building to a full, forceful rhythm, rocking steadily for over 2 minutes, with nothing and no one near it. And around the 1-minute mark, a sudden burst of light flashes from the adjacent kitchen doorway, on and off in under a second, with no visible source. The chair doesn't even pause. Some viewers think a rocking chair moving on its own is one of the oldest and most personal symbols in paranormal cases, associated with the presence of the deceased, a grandmother, a mother, someone who used to sit there. Others aren't willing to go that far, noting that fishing line or a hidden mechanism could produce exactly that motion in low-resolution night vision. What's harder to explain away is the combination, the wailing in the dark, the child begging his father to stay, and then an empty room where something keeps rocking through the night. So what do you think is in that house? Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. The following footage was recorded with a baby monitor, high in a corner of a bedroom set up for a newborn. A woman with long blonde hair can be seen retrieving her swaddled baby from an adjoining room and carefully placing the infant into the co-sleeper beside her bed, bending over to adjust the swaddle and settle the baby down. Completely ordinary, completely routine. Watch. She's used this ball hundreds of times and never had this happen before. The second clip was captured during the day, this time from a low-angle stationary camera in a hallway, possibly a pet cam placed near the floor. Watch.
Wash hands.
Listen carefully to the very beginning. Many viewers believe the recording captures what sounds like a man's voice speaking from somewhere inside the house. According to the woman who shared the clip, she was simply on her way to wash her hands when the camera picked up the sound. She also made one important point. Although she was home with her children, there were no adult men inside the house. Naturally, some people believe the voice is nothing more than distorted background audio. Security cameras often compress sound in unusual ways, and televisions, neighbors, or even conversations from outside can sometimes seem much closer than they actually are. Others hear something far more unsettling. Electronic voice phenomena, better known as EVP, is a phenomenon discussed in paranormal circles where faint voices are believed to appear on recordings despite not being clearly audible at the time. Whether these sounds are genuine anomalies, audio artifacts, or simply the brain trying to recognize speech in random noise, remains highly debated. Taken separately, neither clip proves anything, but together, an object moving where it never had before, and an unexplained voice inside a house where no man was present. It's easy to understand why the family started paying much closer attention to what their cameras were capturing. Now in this next clip, a young man has been lying awake in his bedroom listening to something he can't explain. A rhythmic, persistent knocking coming from somewhere inside his house, loud enough that he grabs his phone in the middle of the night to document it, because he says every time he tries to tell someone, they don't believe him. The night is cold, cold enough that you can see his breath the moment he steps outside, and he's been hearing this same sound since earlier that morning. He checks on his dog, walks through the house, and eventually makes his way out into the dark backyard, pointing his phone toward an exterior wall where he insists the knocking is coming from. He's clearly shaken. His voice is unsteady as he talks to the camera, and you can hear the edge in it when he says he can't stop hearing it from his room. He pans slowly toward the barbecue grill at the back of the yard, stepping further into the darkness. Watch.
Capto fantasma en video. Chicos, yo voy a filmar esto porque después me dicen que es mentira. Ustedes escuchan ese ruido, ¿no? Porque... Pará, no puede ser. Quiero que vean la hora que es de la mañana. Un frío afuera. que vean. Ay, de acá viene el ruido, desde hoy lo estoy escuchando. Es un frío ahora. Miren, acá está el asador, el pasillo. ¡Ey! ¿Qué carajo, boludo? Quiero que vean. Hay frío casi. Porque posta no se dejan de escuchar esos ruidos desde mi pieza, boludo. Nah.
Just above and behind the grill, a translucent, whitish, vaporous shape materializes in the air, faint but distinct against the dark background, with a silhouette that's close enough to humanoid to stop you cold. He shouts and runs toward it, and the shape dissolves as he closes the distance. He sweeps the camera around the empty space where it was. Nothing there. Then the camera finds the child's swing set, standing motionless on the lawn, and it starts to move. A slow sway, then a full back and forth motion, as if something invisible has just settled into the seat. His breathing is the only sound until a sudden sharp bang hits from somewhere off camera, and the footage cuts. Some viewers think the vapor could be a cold air breath plume caught by the phone camera at a distance. A reasonable explanation given how visible his own breath was. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the shape appeared well above the grill and held a form that's hard to explain away as ambient condensation. And the swing didn't stop when he ran toward the first figure. It started after. So what exactly was still out there with him? Now in this next clip, a man is pulling into his own driveway, a completely ordinary afternoon, when something across the yard stops him cold. He's got his phone out and he's already filming as he notices the detached shed on the property, its blue double doors hanging wide open. He hadn't left them that way. He starts narrating out loud, the way you do when your brain is trying to make sense of something before it fully registers what's wrong. Watch.
I'm pulling into the house, grab the phone, look at that windows wide open door. What the? No. There's some there. That is 100% a person in my shed. Yo, that's a person in my shed. That is a person in my shed. Hey, dude. Okay, that's a school. That's somebody in the shed. Yo, hey, who is in here? 100% saw that. Yo! Hey! I saw something on the Ring camera. I see movement. Who's up here? Hey, come on. Is somebody up here? Hey. Come on, man. Please. I will 100% call the police. I'm not kidding. Hey there. Yo. Come on, man. I'm calling the police. If somebody is in here, the police will be here in 5 minutes. Do you hear me? And you bro. Hey, come on. You're done. I'm telling you. Okay. All right. Look, that's fine.
The left side of that shed door swings shut, hard, with a slam that cuts him off mid-sentence. What follows is roughly a minute and a half of shaky, breathless footage as he sprints across the lawn, pushes the door open, and starts searching the cluttered interior, shouting into corners and up toward a dark, square opening in the ceiling where a wooden ladder leads to an attic. An object then crashes down from that opening. Loud, sudden, completely unprompted. And if you watch that last few seconds carefully, just before he bolts, a pair of bright, glowing blue eyes stare down at him from the darkness of the attic. That's when he runs. Now, a shed door slamming in wind is one thing. A door that's been standing wide open for long enough to notice suddenly, swinging shut with force, is a harder sell. Some viewers are convinced there's an animal up in that attic, a large cat or a raccoon with reflective tapetum, which could explain the eye shine. Others aren't so sure, pointing out the force behind that initial slam and the way the object drops, almost deliberately. He called the police after this. Whatever was up there, he wasn't willing to find out alone. This next clip was recorded by a woman staying at an Airbnb with her kids. A family trip that turned unsettling in the middle of the night. She's already in bed, TV on, when something pulls her out of the room. She says she heard a voice call for her, a child's voice saying "Mom," and since her kids are supposed to be asleep, she grabs her phone and starts walking. She checks the bedroom downstairs first, where her teenage daughter and son are in their bunks with the dog, and neither of them called her. She heads up to the living room next, where a third kid, another teenage boy, is fast asleep on the couch, completely out. She's standing at the top of the stairs, satisfied nobody's up, when it happens again. Watch.
I'm staying in this Airbnb.
Who says I'm judging you? You are.
Oh my god. I've been hearing noises this whole time. And I just heard somebody say, "Mom." My kids are supposed to be asleep. So... Guys, did y'all call me? Did y'all say "Mom"? I heard "Mom," dude. I'm gonna check on John. I could have sworn I heard somebody say "Mom." He's not down. TV's not even on. Shut the dude. What? Did y'all come out and don't lie?
No, we did not.
I'm gonna have to sleep with y'all.
Why?
Something's going on. Okay, yeah. I'm done.
Still trying to make sense of it, she returns to her children and asks them directly if anyone had gotten up or called for her. They all insist they never left their rooms, yet after she shared the footage, some viewers noticed something else. Several claimed they could make out what appeared to be a small childlike figure hiding. If that's what they really saw, it couldn't have been any of her children. They had all been accounted for before, during, and after the voice was heard. Many paranormal enthusiasts believe this kind of encounter resembles what's known as a mimic, an entity said to imitate familiar voices in an attempt to draw someone toward a particular location. Reports often involve a loved one calling for help, hearing a child's voice in an empty house, or someone answering from a room that turns out to be vacant. Whether it was an oddly timed coincidence, a child hidden somewhere the camera never caught, or something using a familiar voice to get her attention. One thing is certain. After that second call, she wasn't the only one listening. This next clip was filmed at night inside a couple's living room. A woman with long brown hair sitting up on the couch, laughing while pulling a prank on her boyfriend, who's half asleep under a blanket, telling her to stop. She's holding her phone to her ear, completely unaware that something else might be in the room with them. Watch.
Get away from me. Hello? Fucking sleep in my ear. I'm trying to fucking sleep. Stop, dude. Stop, dude. I'm trying, bro.
Trying what?
At first, nothing seems out of place, but when the footage is zoomed in on the mirror hanging behind the couple, a hand with unnaturally long, thin fingers and elongated nails. It isn't next to either of them, and if it really is a hand, it doesn't seem to belong to anyone visible in the room. Some viewers immediately suggested it could simply be an optical illusion, a combination of reflections, furniture, or the woman's own hand caught at an unusual angle. Mirrors are notorious for creating misleading images, especially in low light. Others weren't convinced. Throughout paranormal folklore, mirrors have often been described as symbolic thresholds, objects believed by some traditions to blur the boundary between the physical world and something beyond it. Reports of unexplained faces, hands, or figures appearing only in reflections have been shared for generations, though none have ever been conclusively verified. Whether this was a trick of perspective, a perfectly timed reflection, or something that only revealed itself in the mirror, one question has kept viewers replaying the footage. If that hand wasn't theirs, whose was it? The following video was recorded by a family stepping into their new house for the very first time. The father is holding the camera, slowly documenting their first walk through the home as the rest of the family heads inside ahead of him. Everything appeared perfectly ordinary until viewers noticed something that was out of place. Watch.
Okay, got everybody here, heading on into the new house for the first time. They said go, yeah. See how scary? It's kind of scary actually. Oh, look at all this stuff. Dollhouse for you, Salo. Go. Okay. This kitchen's pretty nice.
Ready? I'm ready to blow out my mom.
Go close the door.
If you focus on the mirror by your right, you'll notice what looks like a dark, human-shaped shadow standing directly behind him. The unsettling part is that it can't be one of his daughters. By the time the reflection appears, both girls have already walked past the mirror and are standing farther inside the house. There shouldn't be anyone behind him. But what many viewers found even more disturbing wasn't the shadow. It was the youngest girl. Without anyone prompting her, she repeatedly says, "Scary," over and over again. Some dismissed it as exactly what children do in unfamiliar places. New houses can feel intimidating, especially when they're empty, dimly lit, and full of echoes. Others believe moments like this deserve a closer look. As for the mirror itself, mirrors have long occupied a unique place in supernatural folklore. Some traditions describe them as symbolic thresholds or reflective surfaces where unexplained figures are more likely to appear, while others view them simply as objects capable of creating convincing visual illusions under low lighting. Whether the shadow was a trick of perspective, a reflection the family didn't notice, or something that greeted them before they even unpacked. One detail remains difficult to ignore. Before anyone mentioned seeing a figure, the little girl had already decided there was something about that house she didn't like. The following video was recorded by a man living in what can only be described as a house full of unsettling objects. Mannequins in the hallway, antique dolls, vintage horror movie posters, and at the center of it all, a Victorian dollhouse sitting in his sister's room that he says he genuinely cannot bring himself to look at for too long. He walks through the space at night, narrating as he goes, and you can hear in his voice that this isn't performance, it's discomfort. He's been hearing tapping sounds late at night, specifically when he passes that room on the way to the bathroom, and according to him, the sound stops the moment he enters, except for one night about 3 nights prior, when it kept going. He walked in, tried to find the source, and traced it directly to the dollhouse itself. Watch.
Okay, so the other thing that really creeps me out, that I do not like, but I will show you guys, is in my sister's old room, or I guess still room. Dollhouse. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say that has happened with it is sometimes when I walk by, or like I go, the bathroom's back there, and I walk through and I hear like tapping coming from this room. It's like it's like yeah, it's like I know it's coming from like this room, and so I come in here and then it usually stops, except for like maybe 3 nights ago, like the tapping kept happening, and I came over and I was trying to figure out like where it was coming from, but it was coming from this dollhouse and I don't know where, and it hasn't done it since. Like, why is it so intricate? It's like, I don't know. Freaks me out. I'm not showing you guys this again, so take one last look. Yeah. Fuck that thing.
Toward the end of the recording, some viewers also claimed they could hear what sounded like a faint young girl's voice buried beneath the audio. Whether it's genuine audio pareidolia or simply background noise is impossible to say, but combined with the tapping, it only added to the unease. Some viewers also pointed to the collection of dolls visible throughout the house. In parts of West Africa and the Caribbean, handcrafted dolls have historically been associated, rightly or wrongly, with folk magic and spiritual practices. While most are simply decorative or cultural artifacts, their appearance often fuels speculation whenever they're seen alongside alleged paranormal activity. But according to the family, the dollhouse wasn't the only thing making them uneasy. Watch.
Grandson, this is my daughter, Lady Mary Talk. Oh, everyone's going. You as the rest of us are on the Riviera, but I hope you enjoy yourself. Yes. Okay, I've been thinking about it. I went over to America 10 years ago to try my luck, and I've been there ever since. Nearly London. They call us the Hollywood Rise. But you never stopped playing. You know, last time I was there.
Heavy footsteps echo from somewhere inside the house, the kind of impact that sounds as though someone has just put their full weight onto a wooden floor. But there's no visible cause. Nothing falls, nothing moves, nothing in the wide-angle security footage gives her or anyone watching any kind of answer. So what exactly hit that hard? From inside a house, with no one else apparently there, you decide. Now in this next clip, a man who works at what appears to be an industrial facility decided to stay late one night. Not because he had to, but because something about the place kept pulling him back. He'd already noticed things before this recording. His radio had been jumping with static, which he says is usually a sign that something is close, and the temperature in the break room had dropped noticeably enough to stop him in his tracks. He's wearing work gloves, holding his camera, and his voice is raspy and low as he moves through a long fluorescent-lit hallway and into one of the facility's break rooms, a cluttered industrial space with metal lockers, stainless steel countertops, and trash bags piled against the walls. He admits out loud that he's nervous, He can feel something in there with him, and then he notices his Apple Watch.
Whoa. Shit. Just saw my Apple move. Just saw him move. Oh. What do you want? Who are you? Oh. What does this mean? What do you want? Why are you playing games? Why did you attack me the other day? What do you want?
First the apple, then the cup begins moving by itself, while he continues trying to communicate with whatever he believes is around him. To paranormal investigators, this sequence is particularly intriguing because the movement appears to follow direct interaction. In many alleged haunting cases, investigators believe that attempting communication can sometimes trigger a response, especially if the reported activity is associated with an intelligent haunting rather than a residual one. Objects moving shortly after questions are asked are often interpreted as attempts at non-verbal communication, with some researchers suggesting that small, lightweight items are easier for an alleged entity to manipulate than larger objects. Another detail, often mentioned in paranormal circles, is the combination of experiences leading up to the movements. Sudden cold spots, unexplained radio interference, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched are among the most commonly reported claims preceding alleged physical manifestations, although none have been scientifically shown to indicate paranormal activity. But viewers who believe something unusual happened focus on one thing. The apple moves, he starts talking, then the cup moves too. Whether that was a coincidence or something responding to the conversation is exactly what keeps this clip open to debate.